Hey friends, what's up? Jeff Marshall here. I had a comment on one of my YouTube videos. I put out a couple of YouTube videos that had the titles intervals, and I was talking about different intervals on the guitar within scales and stuff. And of course, there's a popular heavy rock band called Intervals. So I had a fella ask me if I could do a breakdown of one of their songs, and I think he thought that that video was going to be something relating to the band, but it was totally different. But he asked me anyway, and I thought, well, I'll take a crack at it. It's not really my style of music. I don't listen to this band at all. I gave it a quick listen, and it's pretty involved, and I don't have time to learn it note for note or anything like that. But I thought, just because in the spirit of sharing, and that this guy, made a comment and asked me to do it, I do it, and I'm happy to do more of this if anybody is looking for something. This is not, like I said, not really my style of music, excuse me, but it's a killer track. I mean, it's rhythmically pretty crazy. Harmonically, it's not that big of a deal if you ask me, but let's take a look at it and check it out, and I'll give you some pointers on what's going on there. Okay, here's the tune, and I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and then kind of go over what I'm hearing going on there, and I'll describe it from a theoretical standpoint. So I'm not much of a sit down and learn songs note for note kind of guy. I mean, I used to be when I was younger. I just don't have time for it now. I just got too much stuff going on. Very rare cases if something just demands my ear to learn it note for note, I'll sit down and do it. But for the most part, I just analyze stuff, and you can actually get a lot of info from analyzing songs if you know a little music theory. And hey, let's face it, we're all kind of thieves here, right? Nobody's reinventing the wheel here, so it can inspire you maybe to write your own thing based off of it if you know a little background. So let's hear a little bit of the tune, and I'll kind of describe what I hear going on. Let's go. Okay, so what I did notice, I did listen to a bit of the song, and I realized that it's not in standard tuning. And what it is it's drop C. So basically you got to tune your guitar down a whole step and then drop what would normally be drop D. You'll drop the low E string down to D, but now it would be down to C. So if you played a D chord, that's the kind of sound you would have. So this is a clever tuning. It sounds thick and rich and robust, and it's easier to play some of these thick chords with this kind of tuning. So I'm going to jump over to my hand cam here so you can kind of see what I got going on. Okay, so now this song, it technically, if you're doing standard tuning, it's in the key of F minor, and I'll describe why in a minute. But because of the tuning down a whole step, you're going to play it as if it's G. So if you were to put it on a tuner, it would say F, but all the fingerings and stuff are going to be like a G minor. So since how we have the low E string tuned down a whole step, you can make that, I'm just going to call it G, even though it's F. You can make that G minor chord kind of like a bar power chord, like that. Pretty easy, really. Now, the first thing they do is just kind of sounds like they're playing some of this minor scale. And the thing is I can tell it's a natural minor scale. There's a couple different minor type scales, right? There's like a Phrygian minor, there's a Dorian minor, there's an Aeolian minor, then you have like harmonic minor. And, understanding why something is in this sound or that sound, I think, is important. And the reason is because you notice the first riff, it does something like this. Okay, so if we look at those chords, and again, I'm just going to analyze it like it's G. You have the root sound here. The next chord is kind of a minor third up, and even that little melody that they play in there, That tells me right away it's a minor sound. So we're definitely in a minor sound. And how I know it's Aeolian is it ends up going to this E flat chord. I guess in this case it would be, I'm all twisted around because I actually worked this out in standard tuning first, but it's the minor 6 chord. It's 2 whole steps down from the root chord. So, which is, honestly, that's like Stairway to Heaven. You know what I mean? And, you know, that's what the sound of the Aeolian mode is, or the natural minor scale. It's like a minor 3rd with a flat 6. So that's how I know right away it's in that minor sound. Natural minor sound. Not Dorian minor, not Phrygian minor, right? So that's a... And then it sounds like they play kind of like a major 7th type chord there. So I'm thinking of it as kind of like an E flat here. So that would be the minor 6 chord. And they're playing little melodies around it. That kind of sound. So if I play just a G minor scale, you can hear that fits perfectly. So that's the defining factor. It's pretty easy to hear that I'm in a minor sound. That's definitely minor. But then to decipher whether it's like a Dorian minor or a Phrygian minor, that flat 6 chord, which is a flat 6 distance away from the root sound, tells me that it's an Aeolian sound, natural minor sound. And if you learn all those licks, I can tell there's not really too much that's outside of that sound through the whole song. So to me, what makes the song interesting is the rhythmic side of it. It's pretty complex. Harmonically, it's actually pretty simple, if you think about it. Now, there's one other spot in there where there's like one of these half step to the back to the root chords. That's kind of like your neoclassical or a diminished kind of thing. Now that usually comes from harmonic minor. It's not in there enough to where I think they play it in the melody, although at this point I haven't even heard the whole song yet, to be honest with you. I just heard a few spots. So let's hear, I'll show you where that spot is. So back. Right there. Now you got to remember, you're hearing my microphone, so you're also hearing me pick. So that's really so far the only harmonic variant I've heard in this thing. So and it's good to know a little music theory. It's easy. I mean, as soon as I heard this song, I didn't even need to pick up the guitar. I could hear it right away what it was. It's like, oh, it's like a natural minor sound with a little half step back to the root. That's maybe harmonic minor kind of thing, or diminished. So let's hear a little more. That's pretty much the same thing, just a dynamically lower. Same thing again. Just variations on the same thing. There's that diminished thing. Okay, this is another thing that I heard that kind of tickled my ear a little bit. Again, they're still really just in a minor sound, but they're doing this thing. It's like rhythmic displacement, right? So it sounds to me that they're doing something like, or something like that. So if you think, I'll just kind of give you my perspective of kind of the thought process that I would be thinking of. If you've got your kind of your 16th notes doing this, right? So this is like a 4-note pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you play to the steady 16th notes, it'd just be da 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 da. But if you elongate the space between, like, in other words, shift it over and start it over on the next 16th note, so it'd be da 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 da. It's almost like 5 against 4, but you're only playing 4 notes. So you're just extending the space so it takes up an extra 16th note. It's like rhythmic displacement. Da 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 da. So that's kind of what's going on there. I don't know exactly what they're playing. Like I said, I don't have time to sit here and work it all out or whatever, and I apologize if that's what you're expecting. But you know, like I said, you can get a lot. That's like a cool little trick. You know, you can add that into your own sound or your own style a little bit. I do it quite a bit myself. That's how I recognized it right away. All right, let's listen a little more. Back to the head. Okay, so far, nothing has deviated harmonically from anything that we've talked about. It's just super rhythmically complex. So you'd have, you know, to learn the song note for note, you'd have to do your due diligence. But theoretically, it's pretty simple. It's the big difference between simple and easy, right? Harmonically, like I said, it's pretty simple, but it's a difficult tune to probably woodshed and learn. Okay, you heard that major 7th note. So most of it is just in that minor. There we go. Every now and then there's that little major 7th-y kind of harmonic minor sound. All right, so, you know, I'm sorry if I'm not playing it, gonna break it down for you note for note. But, you know, if you don't understand, like, the relationship between chords and major minor chords and the distance away from them, I could see where it could be like, how does this tune work? But really, to me, the tune is simple harmonically. There's no variation from G minor other than maybe like a 5-chord kind of diminished kind of thing back to the root, which is common with harmonic minor. You know? And it's not even for like 2 beats in the song. It's just really quick. So it's a little inconsequential, though. I don't hear any melodies. Maybe there's one spot in there where the melody kind of addressed that. But for the most part, it's just kind of the chords moving back to the 1 chord. So harmonically, it's actually pretty simple. Where I think where the complexity comes in, if you're not used to hearing things like major 9 chords and stuff, you know, if you're like major 7th chords and stuff like that, it probably sounds pretty dense or hopefully interesting. I love the sound of that. I think that's a clever way putting major seventh chords in more heavy rock, because that's usually reserved for like jazz and stuff like that. So I see a lot more people, of course, people nowadays are a lot more theory savvy. Like when I was a kid, just to get any music theory was, you'd have to go to a university or something. And of course, we have a lot of access to that now. So, yeah, so a little music theory goes a long way. And then this is how I would probably go about learning this song is, first of all, is I would just learn where all the movements of the chords are, figure out what key I'm in, and then I would start to micromanage the parts, But the trickiest thing about this song is it's a rhythmic nightmare. So these guys got their hands full playing this live, I'm sure. But hey, more power to them. It's a pretty amazing track, and the production is ridiculous on it. So anyway, I'm not going to get too long-winded, but that's what's going on. I hope that answers your question. If you have more questions on it, let me know, or a different song. I'm happy to do this. When I can, if I have a little bit of time. I also have a Patreon site, so I thought this might be something I could put on my Patreon site, and you're certainly welcome to check that out if you want to get some more knowledge. Most of the stuff I have on my site is more conceptual stuff. I don't really get too stylistically. I teach more general kind of concepts and stuff like that. So, but my own playing, personally, I'm old. I like boomer bends and, pentatonic scales and stuff like that. So, but I do have a pretty good knowledge of things. So I'm able to break things down pretty decently. So anyway, hope that helps. I'll see you next time around. Cheers.